Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kemi, and I'm here to talk about Beyond the Gates Season 2, Episode 64. Now, before we begin, make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and turning on your post notifications so you'll know whenever I post. All right, so we start off the episode with Anita and Vernon. Anita is on her computer, and Vernon comes in asking what she's doing. Is she writing a tell all about her, her life or whatever? And she's saying, if I were ever to write a book, it'd be a romance novel inspired by our love. So Vernon again asks her what she's doing. She tells him that she's catching up on proposals for the Dupree Heritage Foundation. I think that's what it's called. Um, then she says, she finds him really attractive, and he says, "Say more." And then she tells him all the ways that she finds him attractive, him encouraging her to reclaim her life. And then they start kissing, and then Dani comes in and says, she's in a crisis or whatever. So Anita's just like, "What's wrong?" And so she tells him, "I got the proofs for my photo shoot, but I'm afraid to look at them." And so Anita's just like, "Girl." And Vernon is just like, "Well, that's my cue to leave." So he gets up to leave, and she says, Vernon looks at them, and Anita stops him or whatever, and she says, "Do y'all think I'm Boo Boo the fool?" And she was just like, "I know you called Dani." She tells Vernon, "I know you called her over to keep me company while you're gone." And they try to play it off, but Anita is just like, "Mm-mm." And then Dani was just like, she caves or whatever. And so Vernon calls her a snitch. I was just like, Vernon is a mess. So she says sorry, and Anita tells them, she's okay and she can take care of herself. And Vernon is just like, he's worried, especially after the last time. And Anita was just like, "Okay, fine," or whatever. She tells Vernon, they'll talk later. And I was just like, "Miss Ma'am, you was just talking about you wanting to sign a DNR. Of course, I'm going to make sure that someone is with you at all times, because you ain't about to leave this world and not be helped, ma'am." I was with Vernon. Yeah, I'm getting somebody to come babysit you. So we see Dani, and Vernon leaves because he had to go meet Martin or whatever. So we see Dani and Anita, and she's telling Dani, um, don't don't feed into your father's like antics or whatever. I am capable of taking care of myself. And Dani is just like, "Yes ma'am, don't be mad at daddy, da 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 da," whatever. So she was just like, "All right, let's look at these pictures." So they look at the pictures, and Dani is in her head about the pictures, because Anita was just like, "These are beautiful, like, you know what's wrong?" Dani's in her head talking about, she can't compete with the new age models and all this other stuff. And then Anita gives her a pep talk or whatever. So we see Martin, he's at home, he's reading an article about the race and how, I don't even remember what was said in the article, because he says something about it or whatever. So he gets a call from Samantha, and she tells him that they're done with cotillion prep rehearsals. She's gonna have lunch with Donnell, if that's okay. He says yes. He asks about Tyrell, and she says, he stayed back because he's a klutz or whatever. And he's just like, "Oh, okay, we'll make sure that you're eating, you get something to eat." And then Smitty comes in, so he gets off the phone. So Smitty asks about it. He tells him everything's going good, and they talk about Tyrell and him not being a klutz or whatever. Um so Martin asked Mitty, does he have time for lunch? And he was just like, "Yeah, if you're going to make your shrimp quesadilla or tacos or whatever." And he was just like, "Yeah." They start to kissing. And then Smitty wants to do more. So they laying on the couch. He done unbuckled his shirt, and they kissing and all this other stuff. And then Martin says, Martin stops it, because he's just like, Vernon is on his way over. And it ends that for them or whatever. Because Smitty was just like, we need to be able to, we have to take advantage of our alone time or whatever. So he was just like, well, happy that you stopped it because I do have something that I have to do, all this other stuff. So he gets a text from Jacob, and so he leaves to go meet him or whatever. So we see Vernon. He's at Martin's, and they talk about the article or whatever, and then they start talking about Martin wants to know how Vernon and Anita made their love life work because he was on the road and she was on the road. I mean, because she was on the road and he was a senator and all this other stuff. So Vernon gives him a pep talk or gives him advice, encouragement, or whatever. Martin then tells him that his campaign manager, Shonda, is thinking that they should get security. They should beef up security. And Vernon is just like, that sounds like a good idea. So we see Smitty, he meets Jacob at their spot or whatever, and Jacob is on one. He's rude, talking about, where you been? I've been calling you, da 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 da, all this other stuff. And I was just like, sir. So they talk about the investigation that ain't going nowhere and how they're still looking for the woman that they really aren't. Jacob tells Smitty that he can't he can't get Grayson to change the drop, and he feels guilty that he can't tell Ashley what Grayson is up to. Smitty tells Jacob that since Jacob isn't able to investigate at Garland, then he can. And Jacob is just like, nah, don't do it. Like, reconsider. But of course, Smitty ain't listening. He's just like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. Whoop, 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 whoop. It is what it is. I'm doing what I want to do. Forget what you saying. So Smitty wants, he wants to break the story. Jacob is trying to talk him out of it, but Smitty is just like, man, whatever. This is what he wants to do. He gonna do it regardless. Jacob tells him, whatever you do, make sure you have a plan. So we see Donnell meets Samantha at Orphe Jeans, and they're talking about Tyrell, and Samantha's making fun of him or whatever. So Donnell is asking about Jessica and Tyrell, how long they've been together or whatever. So she tells him about the whole Jessica not wanting to do it and all this other stuff. June comes over and asks them what they're doing. Samantha again starts making fun of Tyrell. And June is just like, well, you, Samantha, can make fun of Tyrell, but can't nobody else do it. And she's looking at Donnell, and Donnell is just like, oh, no, I'm not, I don't do that. And Tyrell gives as good as he gets. He's always calling me old and rusty. And Samantha was just like, well, you're not that old. Yes, he is, ma'am. I really wanted them, but yeah, I don't think we're gonna get them because we was, trying to figure out how old they was, but we know they're at least 21 or more because we seen yeah, we'll get there. So they June takes their order, then she brings out their order, and Donnell is complimenting her, and then again Samantha starts making fun of Tyrell again. June says, well, come to think of it, I didn't have any rhythm either. But she made up for it in her confidence and the fact that she would smack anyone who dared to laugh at her in her face, and she's glad that she's mature now. She leaves, and Donnell tells her, it's cool that you were able to reconnect, and with all the time that you had apart. And Vanessa told them their story. He asked her if that's okay. She's just like, yeah. He tells her it's inspiring. She tells him thanks, and it wasn't easy, but it's great. She loves having her mom back in her life since she's surrounded by males at home. So it's good that she has her. And she's lucky that she has all these people, all of the people that she has in her life that she can call family, talking about the Duprees or whatever. So then they start talking about the cotillion some more. Samantha's asked Donnell. She thanks him for helping her, and he gives her a pep talk and tells her tells her how to be there for the other debutantes and things that she could do to be able to win to become platinum dev or whatever. So then he tells her that he used to have a crush on Chelsea, and Samantha's face falls, and it was just like, girl, why is you mad that he had a crush on your gay cousin? Like, anyway, so he gets a text. He got to go back to school. So he leaves, and June comes over, and she notices her sour mood, and she's like, what's going on? She asks if she likes Donnell, and she admits that she does, but just as a friend. And then June tells her, yeah, she doesn't. June tells her, yeah, because he's older than you and all this other stuff. So Samantha changes the subject, and she invites June to the cotillion, and June is just like, yeah, nah, she don't think it's a good idea. She don't want to embarrass her. Samantha is just like, well, can you think about it? And June is just like, yeah, nah, my mind is made up, and I'm not going. So she goes back to work. So we see um Eva and Isaiah, they're at the country club. She's nervous about meeting Darlene because of their first go round or whatever. He's trying to relax her. And in my notes, I wrote Isaiah set her up because Jacob told her how being a Dupree was a red flag for their ma regarding Naomi. And he let Eva set this dinner up at the country club. You should have if you should have told your girl, let's go to OG because my mama likes that place. Why would you be like, yeah, this is a good idea. Let's throw this newfound wealth that you have in my mama's face when she had an issue with when she had an issue with Naomi because she thought Naomi was she was throwing her wealth, not that she was throwing her wealth in her face, but that she thought she was better than because she was wealthy. That was what she thought about Naomi. So why would you then be, yeah, babe, going to the country club and showing your wealth to my mama is gonna make her like you? Like, Isaiah don't be thinking, child. So he tells her his mom is cool, and once they get to know each other, they'll become best friends. And we see Darlene come in, and Eva waves, and she says, "We about to find out." So, we see the next scene. Isaiah is asking Darlene about her salad, and she's just like, "Yeah, it's not as good as the one that I make at home." Again, you set your girl up for failure. Eva says the chef was brought in from France, and she wanted their meal to be nice. Darlene says, yeah, it must be nice having all that money from Anita that y'all sure did. It must be nice. It must be nice having all that money from Anita, and y'all sure did move on up like Jeffersons, especially after blowing up Ted and Nicole without a second thought. And Eva says they didn't know about the money and what Anita was setting up, and her mom didn't know she was Barbara's daughter. And Darlene doesn't believe her. And again, I put in my notes, Leslie should have known that Barbara was her daughter. That was a missed opportunity. And I low key wish she would have known all this time and she didn't tell Eva and Eva didn't know. That way, when it comes out that Leslie knew about Barbara, and she actually went out of her way she sought Ted out to go after the Duprees because of that fact. And again, she never told her daughter. And once her daughter finds out that, oh, so you've been doubly lying to me my whole life, then we could see a break in their relationship. That would be a very good thing. But of course, that wasn't the story, but we're here now. So Eva's taking up for her mama, as she always does. She explains what she was told. Darlene wants to know what was Eva's part in it. She says she believed it until she met Ted and Nicole. And Darlene is just like, she's aware of the story, and Leslie is something else. And of course, Leslie is behind her when she says that. And she was just like, I sure am, and I don't play about my daughter. She pulls up a chair, and Isaiah's just like, you invited your mama? And it's just like, but I thought you liked Leslie. I thought you liked her antics, Isaiah. Now that she's going to be interacting with your mama, now it's a problem. But before it was just like, oh, Leslie's just Leslie, it's kind of funny. No, it's not funny. So Eva was just like, of course I didn't invite her. um she tries to, make her mama look good. She asks her, what are you doing here? And then she's just like, I have a spa and I thought to come get some dinner before, great minds think alike, or something like that. Eva was just like, yeah, I invited Darlene to have lunch with us alone. And Leslie says, I'm sure Darlene won't mind. And I wish Darlene would have said, I do mind. But she says, of course not. It'll give us a chance to get to know each other. So Eva's asking Leslie about the clinic, trying to, make Leslie look good. And Leslie, of course, is complaining about it because she didn't do it for the right reasons. So Eva tries to clean it up for her, but again, Leslie continues to complain about it and working with Derek. And so she says, she wants Eva to quit her job and come work for her. And Eva's just like, we've already discussed this. And Darlene was just like, don't mind us. I would love to know why you don't want to work with your mama. Eva says she isn't reluctant, and then Isaiah jumps in and was just like, "We already talked about this. Mom knows how much you volunteer there and all this other stuff." And she's just like, "Yeah, I must have forgot." And I was just like, "Shut up, Isaiah. Let your girl talk for herself. Let her dig her hole because she needs to dig her hole." So we see Eva. Eva says, her and Leslie go back and forth about this all the time, but she's happy working at her dad's practice. Leslie makes a dig about plastic surgery, and then she makes a dig about plastic surgery and saying that Darlene got may have gotten some work done on her lips or whatever. And Leslie then says, she calls Ted Teddy Bear, and Darlene is just like, "You call Dr. Ted Richardson Teddy Bear?" And it's just like, yeah, we all be asking that same question. He is no teddy bear, first of all, and why? So Eva tells Leslie she's not leaving her dad's practice. She's just gonna have to figure it out with Derek. And Darlene says that's gracious of Ted to allow Eva to call him her dad. And Leslie says, well, why wouldn't he? That's who she is. And Darlene says, I heard about the spectacle that y'all all made. And, Isaiah's trying to stop her. But Leslie, but Leslie tells Darlene, speak your mind. So she tells him, she says, y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. Y'all grifted your way into money. Y'all grifted your way into the money that Anita set aside out of grief. And Leslie says, no, out of guilt. And it's just like, no, it was out of grief because you don't even know what happened. It was your mama's decision to do what she did. And instead, your mama decided to place the blame on somebody else instead of on her weak behind and not being able to roll with the punches. Okay, yeah, you got kicked out of the group. It was a 4-person group. Why are you only blaming one person? And you blame the only person who made it. That's the reason why you did what you like. Not that you did what you did, but why you blame her because she made it. When guess what? Yes, you got kicked out of the group by all the other 3 members, not just one member, but 3 members and y'all's manager. That's what happened. And instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to do it by myself, I'm going to make it better, you decided to be woe is me, get pregnant, have this trifling ass daughter, and then decided to take yourself out this world. Don't put that on nobody but yourself. So, yeah, Leslie was just like, it was out of guilt, especially how she treated Barbara. And then she was just like, why is this any of your business? And it's just like, you made it everybody's business when you decided to blow up Ted and Nicole's anniversary party the way that y'all did. Like, I don't get why. Again, Eva does it all the time. Mama let everybody know who I am. Mama put my business all out there. No, you helped your mama put your business out there because you guys decided to embarrass Ted in a public way. And now you trying to act like, oh my God, I can't believe everybody knows about me. Shut the hell up. Like, whew. So yeah, I said in my notes, y'all made it everybody's business with how y'all went about it and how y'all flaunting that money. Darlene says the Duprees are good people and they don't deserve what you brought into their lives. She tells Isaiah, I'm sorry, I tried, but I'm not about to sit here any longer. And she walks off. So not Isaiah. Um, Eva tells Isaiah, go after her or whatever. Um, uh, da, 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 da. Sorry. Oh yeah, so Eva tells, go after her, whatever. Then Leslie, oh yeah, Leslie tells her, she tells her, forget about that woman, and I'm glad my biking days are over. So she hands her drink to Eva and was just like, yeah, I'm about to go get a real drink before my spa. And she dips out and leaves Eva holding the L. And it's just like, again, Eva, you're not paying attention to what is going on. Your mama yet again caused the scene and then dipped and left you there to to deal with the baggage, to deal with the backlash. Like, she came in and made this dinner, this lunch and meeting your boyfriend's mom about herself. And of course, you're still going to be on your mama's side after all of this, but you love this man. And I wouldn't tell you, if it was any other woman, I wouldn't tell you to drop your mama for no man, but it's Leslie. That's all I can say. It's Leslie. Like, she does you no good. And you keep allowing her to play in your face. Oh, that's mama. Oh, that's mama. That's what you always say. And it's just like, no, it's you too at this point. I don't know what to say. So we see Darlene and Isaiah out in the foyer or whatever that's called. And Darlene tells Isaiah, don't think about trying to get me to come back in there. I'm not about to be around that woman. Isaiah says that's Eva's mama. And he was just like, but that's her mother. And he was, sorry. She was just like, yeah, that's her mama. Darlene was just like, and that's what troubles me. I love that you back home and you're in a good spot. I don't want you to do anything to disrupt that. And he's just like what? And she says, getting mixed up. And as she's saying that, Eva is walking outside, so she's standing at the door so she can see and hear them. And Darlene is saying, getting mixed up with the spawn of Satan herself. Um, she tells him that, I've held my tongue, but the apple don't fall far from the tree. If Eva is even the slightest bit like her mama, you need to steer clear of her. Eva, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know why you think that you would be able to. And I mean, I know why you think that, because everybody has given you a pass for this. And it's just like, you shouldn't be getting a pass for this. And the one person who's actually treating you accordingly, this is how Eva should have been treated this whole time. Because, yeah, no, like, no, you were wrong. You and your mama were wrong. Y'all did wrong. And because everybody has let you get away with stuff, you thought that, oh, you could do whatever. And the one person that you want, that you should, like, the one person that you would, that you feel like should give you whatever, or the person that you really need this from, you aren't getting it from them, because they are treating you accordingly, and now you are feeling the ramifications. But yeah, that was the episode. Like, Eva, why, I don't understand why you mad that that lady called you the spawn of Satan. Like, your mama is a devil herself, and guess what, you are her spawn. What is he mad for? But yeah, that was the episode. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and turning on your post notifications so you'll know whenever I post. Get down in the comments, tell me what you guys thought of this episode, and I will see you guys in the next one.